Hey legends, as you can see here, we have another bumper buy, hold and sell. It's really great to see a number of superstars coming back into our team. And unfortunately, we've also got a number of superstars who are not going to be with us for at least the next 12 weeks, which is really unfortunate. So with all of that in mind, let's get into it. Alrighty, so first up, we have the halfback superstars that I really think we need to talk about. Now, what I've done is I've put a rank from my point of view above each of their heads, and I reckon with no Braden Trindle, Nicho Hynes will actually be the number one half this weekend. And I reckon at the moment he's closely followed by both Nathan Cleary, who comes back into the team. We've been holding him for weeks, so really excited to see him back. Jerome Hughes and also Sean Johnson. I really think if you've got any combination of these four superstars, then your team is going to be in pretty good shape over the next 4 to 5 weeks. So from my point of view, I think you should be really angling to try and get one of these guys. Really easy if you're trading up from a Jamal Fogarty or a Kalyn Ponga. And hopefully you've got at least one, but ideally two. Alrighty, let's keep moving. Okay, on to the cheapies. And what I thought I'd do this week is, rather than go through some of the individual stats, because they're all pretty cheap, I just thought I'd rank them in terms of the cheapies that I think are worthwhile. So we'll go left to right. First up, we've got Jai Gray, 254k with a 3 break even. He continues to hold his spot. The big question mark for him is, will he hold it when Latrell Mitchell is back? And I think a lot of people are really hoping that he does. Trey Fuller, 453k with a 15 break even. What I really love about Trey Fuller is his 0.87 ppm. He got a 57 in the last round and had a 53 last year as well. So this guy's got some form. He's got the ability to score points, and he is my number one pick for the cheapies. Now, 453k isn't super cheap, but for somebody who's going to pump out 50 plus scores. Okay, next up, we've got Ethan Sanders, 230k. He's just signed with the Raiders, which is interesting. So also comes into this Parramatta side. The big question mark here, how long will he have the gig for? And will this just be part of the Brad Arthur's halfback rotation, which seems to be plaguing the Eels at the moment? That's why he's our number 6 pick. He does come with a fairly high degree of risk. So one to watch out for if you're planning on picking him up. Next up, we've got KO Weeks, 252k. It is his first game this year, so he's not really a rookie. And a couple of watch outs for KO is that he does have a 22 average when he plays over 70 minutes. So it's not huge, but we really are hoping that he has matured. We're hoping that the Canberra system has really embraced and improved his ability to deliver us a decent fantasy score when he comes in for Jamal Fogarty. It looks like the position is his for at least the next 12 weeks. So that's why we've got him as our third best cheapie on this list. Next up is Brendan Piakura, 361k and a 23 break even. He's got a 23.3 average, but that includes a 0. And if you take that out, he's actually averaging 35. So I reckon all he needs to be successful is 80 solid minutes on the park and maybe a try or two, and his price will absolutely skyrocket. And the last guy on this list is David Armstrong, only 230k. But like Ethan Sanders, I think the real question here for us is, how long will he be there? We know there's rumblings about Fletcher Sharp and the fact that he is currently unavailable with a hamstring injury, but is apparently only 2 weeks away. So a couple of things to watch out there if you're planning on picking up David Armstrong. All right, so back into the normal flow of things. Reece Walsh, I think he's actually the most purchased player this week. He's available at wing fullback for 614k, 38 break even and a 0.58 ppm. Owned by just under 25% of players, and he's currently got a 54, a 63, a 2, a 34, and is coming off a 73 from last weekend. I reckon this is the cheapest he is going to be. As I've said there, he's the most purchased player this week. He will be out for State of Origin, and from my point of view, he's an easy switch from Kalyn Ponga. Now, he's likely to be in my team, so don't be surprised if you see me pick him up when I do the team update tomorrow. but I reckon Reece Walsh is a good buy this week. Next up, Max Plath, available at half, and that should say mid. Let's just fix that now. He's 569k with a 15 break even and a 0.91 ppm, which is outstanding. Currently owned by just over 2% of players, and he has a relatively consistent 36, 49, 36, and then a massive one, a 72, where I think he played over the 70-minute mark, which is outstanding. Keep in mind, in that 72, he does have 2 tries. What I love about the Dolphins is that they do play all of the major bye rounds of 13, 16, and 19. And the big question for me with Max Plath is what happens when some of those big boppers come back into the team? Will he continue to get the same sort of minutes? But Max Plath is definitely someone on my radar. I think with the accelerated price point, though, he may be someone that I have unfortunately missed out on. Next up, Briton Nikora, available on the edge at a ridiculously low 602k. He's currently got a 48 break even and a 0.62 ppm, owned by just over 1% of players, which is outrageous. He is an absolute pod. Now keep in mind his 2023 average was 52.5 and he's currently priced at just 43. So we're currently getting him for a $120,000 discount. I don't think he's going to go down too significantly this week. So this week might be the week to jump on, maybe next week as well. But certainly don't sleep on Briton Nikora. Okay, next up is John Bateman, available on the edge. Incredibly popular this week. 626k and a 40 break even. He's got a 0.71 ppm and a 1.12% ownership, so also looking like a pod. He switches to lock this week and has scores of 36, 42, 47, 15, and a really awesome 71 as well. Now keep in mind, in 2023, he's got a 53.9 average and is currently averaging 42.2. So just needs those minutes, and I reckon his scores will absolutely go through the roof. So whatever you do, keep John Bateman on your target list at some point in time. Jaden Brailey, available in the hooker position. Now keep an eye on Jaden Brailey this week or next. 462k, a 26 break even, and a 0.64 ppm. Currently owned by less than 2% of fantasy players, and has really low scores over the first few rounds of 23, 14, 36, 36, and 42, mostly because minutes were really restricted in rounds 3, 4, and 5. But as you can see there, his minutes have really been building, 60, 71, and 80 in the last 3 rounds. And if that trend continues, then I definitely think he's in line for more minutes. Onto the holds. Now, we've spoken about both of these guys a few times, Sam Hughes and Jamon Salmon. I currently think both of these guys are a hold. They're out this week on the bye, but both of these guys are still continuing to make us a little bit of money. On top of that, they will play the first major bye round. So I'm thinking at this point, if we can nurse them through until that point, and then maybe after that bye round, look to move them on, I think that might be the play. I think the only real watch out for both of them, though, is Jacob Preston is likely to return, if not next week, certainly the week after. And that could, again, restrict some of their minutes, and we need to keep an eye on that as well. Let's keep moving. All right, so I was only going to talk about Taniela May here. I think this is his last chance this week. 562k with a 57 break even, a 0.54 ppm, and owned by less than 3% of players. He does have that 66 from round 1, and then has been pretty ordinary since then. From my point of view, this is his last chance up against the Cows, the Rabbits, and the Dogs. And I'll also put Taniela May there as well, because he has huge potential, but Robbo needs to be using him properly. Okay, next up, we've got Ryan Papenhuyzen, available at wing fullback, 575k with a 49 break even, a 0.73 ppm, and owned by an incredible 44.84% of fantasy players. Now, he's got scores that range between 20 and 81. He's a hold this week, but what I really want to see from Ryan Papenhuyzen is 1, a higher average, and 2, more consistency with his scoring. I think that's the only thing that's got me raising a couple of question marks at this point in time. Hopefully this weekend he can come out and have an absolute blinder. Let's keep moving. Okay, Braden Trindle, what have you done? Available in the half, 394k with a 14 break even and a 0.51 ppm. He's only got a 1% ownership and hasn't necessarily got massive superstar scores, but he has been building in the last couple of weeks. He is out this week on a DUI, I think, and maybe a drugs charge as well. but I've got him as a hold until we get more information in terms of exactly what sort of sanctions he's going to be facing. Now, fortunately, it doesn't impact too many people, but for now, Braden Trindle is a hold. Joey Lussick. Now, as an owner of Joey Lussick, he's been incredibly frustrating. Available at hooker, 527k with a 36 break even, which on the surface sounds really easy to beat, especially with that 0.6 ppm. He's owned by just over 10% of fantasy players, and as you can see by his scores, he's got everything between a 24 and a 61, but really just no consistency. Now, I'm really hoping that he will bounce back and bounce back strong this weekend, but I do notice that Brad Arthurs has put Brendan Hands on the bench, and for me, that's a big red flag for Joey Lussick, so fingers crossed it doesn't really impact him too much this weekend. Onto the sells, and it goes without saying, but Kalen Ponga, a massive sell this week, out for 12 weeks with a foot injury of all things. We just can't carry him. 757k to carry for 3 months is just too much. It looks like he's set to miss all of State of Origin, so I guess that settles the Queensland Origin fullback position. So there you go, Kalen Ponga is a sell, and we've got to keep moving. Jamal Fogarty, unfortunately my captain from last week, 750k, another player who's likely out for 3 months. He picked up that bicep injury, and it doesn't look like something easy to recover from. KO Weeks is the beneficiary. I can understand people going straight from Fogs into KO Weeks, but I think the best play here is to go straight from a Fogarty up into a Nathan Cleary, a Nico Hines, Jerome Hughes, or a Sean Johnson. I think that's the best play out of this whole scenario. But 750k for 12 weeks, you just can't carry that on the bench. Let's keep moving. Now, we mentioned it last week, but Drew Hutchison, 439k and a 37 break even. In my opinion, he's peaked and is a sell. The only real argument for keeping Drew is if you want some sort of buy coverage for round 13, but I certainly think there's better options. And Drew, if he doesn't improve, will start to leak a little bit of cash as well. Let's keep moving. Now, a sad one, I guess a happy one, I don't know. Dale Finucane has called time on his NRL career. He's currently owned by 0.2% of players. So, if you've got him in your team, it's time to move him on. He goes out a retired champion, so congratulations. And also congratulations to Cam McInnes, who picks up the captaincy of the Cronulla Sharks exclusively now. So there you go. Congratulations, Dale Finucane, on what was an awesome career. So there you go, guys. Look, that's the video. A huge buy, hold, sell again this week. Now, there's so many players that we could talk about, so many cheapies also emerging. But at some stage, I just have to cull it down and go with the players that I think are most relevant this week. And hopefully you will agree I got it mostly right. So there you go. If you've liked today's video, you know what to do. Smash that like button for me. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, guys, get involved in the conversation via the comment section down below. And I'll see you all in the next video.